Welcome
This is Quest Unscripted,
a vlog series on trending topics
and Quest solutions related to Active Directory.
Office 365.
Oh, and don't forget Azure AD.
You are here because you have questions.
We're here because we have answers.
I think.
We will address questions we've received from customers.
We experience the same challenges as you.
All with the goal of helping you confidently move
Manage.
And secure.
your Microsoft environment.
We call the show Quest Unscripted because
Except for this intro.
nothing we say is scripted or rehearsed.
And we're pretty sure you'll notice that right away.
We did a webcast around the aging out of Active Directory administrators. Can you talk a little about the research you did, what you learned, and kind of was conveyed in that webinar that you just did?
Yeah, no, thanks. I think it's an important thought process that I've picked up on, and it didn't necessarily start from my own organic research into it. It came up with talking to customers across the board when I finally, introduced myself or talk about my history. Saying I was an NT 4.0 certified, MCSE recertified along the way, you get people to open up. And one of the things that I was starting to see is customers that are my age, and they're talking about either burnout, the fact that they're hybrid and that they have these complicated on-prem AD, and with Microsoft retiring the MCSE, MCSA tracks back in June 30th of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. It wasn't like something that was right on their mind, but they're now starting to worry about it because they don't know how long they're going to have these hybrid environments. And where is the brain trust? Where is their security going to come in when the newly certified people are all Azure trained? How are they going to protect the pre-existing and basically Active Directory and all of its complexities, its bad technical debt that was either introduced through Microsoft's 20 plus years of it running? And how do I train these people to understand it and take on that debt? And we're watching the Gen Xers like me, and we're watching the younger baby boomers all getting ready to retire or burn out or just basically move out of the industry. And I think it's an important part of that discussion with your customers. What tools are they putting in place to help them transition, and also just practical good advice about making the team successful by making sure the structure that everybody works in is using best practices. It was explained by Microsoft Alex Weinert as the pit of success. The pit being, don't let anybody escape. Everybody falls into that pit, but that pit's got to be a successful one. So if you build in and understand the upcoming threats, this is a good way of making sure your teams are ready for the changes that might be coming to them.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll go pivot over to Cameron because he looks a little younger than me. At least he's got hair. So Cameron, are there a lot of 20-somethings in Australia that are dealing with AD administration architect level, or what are you seeing over there across the pond?
Yeah, it's starting to become more prevalent, and what I'm noticing is very much like you were talking about, Jason. There's that real delineation between sort of people that are, surprisingly, Brian, we're not that far apart in age, but yeah, people that are in that Gen X category or the young baby boomers needing to
more handsome.
I wouldn't go that far. Are really needing to hand over some of these technologies that they've implemented maybe 15, 20 plus years ago, and know maybe a lot of that technical debt, that a lot of that complexity. So they're trying to hand over this knowledge, and that's a struggle. So that's where I think some intelligent software tooling or something like that really comes into a strength there, because it starts to help them just take some of the lower level complexity out of it.
And Goswin, I know you always have something to say. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I sat on the webinar. Webinar was great. Like I told Jason in an email, just made me feel old. But I agree with what Cameron just said. You know, look at Quest Software. Look at what we do around the management of Active Directory. Everything we have support for on-premises, and we have introduced support for SaaS products, right? So for the new generation that's coming in, the technology is there, and quickly they can maybe bridge the gap with what's out, with what has been configured on premises. And same thing goes for people like me and you guys. You know, we're learning the new technology, but our bread and butter has been on premises with old technologies that's been out there for many, many years. So from what we can do as a Quest software and software world is try and bridge that gap by having hybrid support in our products. And that's something that Quest is obviously excels at.
All right, thank you, everybody.